Hello and welcome to Treasury 360 with me, Kojo Arthur. Today we'll be analyzing how important it is for a treasury person, a dealer or a trader to be analytical and think logically about economic conditions and situations going on around him, especially in making decisions around fiscal policy and monetary policy. One important trait of a treasury person is to be able to think logically and analytically. Now, these skills allow you to always analyze the situation and take a position. And you don't go to bed when you take a position. What you do is you monitor live events to see whether they support your position or they don't. And then you can now either increase your position or reduce your position. Let's start with fiscal policy. Now, the fiscal policy is generally communicated by the finance minister, and you will get a sense of this through his budget. By reading his budget, you get a sense of 1, government spending, and 2, tax. Now, there are several other things, but we'll focus on these two to explain things further. Now, with the monetary policy, this is communicated by the governor of the central bank, and he will communicate the policy through 1, cash reserve requirement, 2, open market operations, and 3, bonds. Now, in the budget, you listen out for government spending, not only in the budget, but even in the news. The budget may have been read, and as things go along, news items will tell you what the government intends to do. Now, if the government has promised 1 village, 1 dam, 1 district, 1 factory, free SHS, all these things mean the government is looking to spend, right? So there are 2 directions in which government spending can go. It can go up, it can go down, or it can remain flat. So if the government is looking to improve roads, build more roads, improve infrastructure in the country, it means spending will be going up. Now, to fund this spending, the government will now look to tax. So you look at what the budget says about spending, and then you also see an element of tax in it. So now there was an introduction of luxury vehicle tax, which was repealed because of the public agitation. But there's also the increase in communication service tax, for example. It means that taxes are generally on the rise. And just like government spending, taxes can be on the rise, can be on the decline, or stay flat. So we have taxes on the rise. All right. Now, if taxes are on the rise, it means government is trying to raise enough funds to do the government spending. Now, government spending and how it affects the public sector. Now, if we are in a country where a lot of people are employed and unemployment rate is very low, it means that when government increases spending, people are going to quit private sector and join the public sector and work for the government. And what does this do? The effect is not felt. However, in Ghana, we have very high unemployment rate, especially among the youth. And you see the government doing things like Nation Builders Corps, which employs the youth and means the youth are empowered. They do some work, get paid, and it stimulates the economy. So this government spending is channeled at stimulating the economy. Contractors get paid, the roads get done, people get employed, and so it takes employment away. Either it takes employment away from the private sector into the public sector, or it puts some spending into the market, which trickles down and improves economic activity. All right, so we go to the monetary policy. Now, the cash reserve requirement is now at 10%. It's been at 10% for a really long time. And the monetary policy is supposed to support the fiscal policy. And so if cash reserve requirement has remained stable in the country for years, it means that cash reserve requirement can go up, it can go down, or remain flat. And in current situations, the cash reserve requirement has remained at 10% for a while. So the governor has not used this to help government in its spending. Now, open market operations are usually at a discount rate. So we have OMO issued by the Bank of Ghana, we have Treasury bills and the like. Now, these rates can either go up, down, or remain flat. Now, in recent times, when the government took over, these rates were high and was brought down, and now it's generally being kept at a flat level. Most of these rates, the OMO rates are at 16% and has been at 16 for a very long time. 14%, 14 days and 56 days OMO has remained at 16 for a while. So, and T-bill rates have been hovering at 14%, and 14% for 91 days, 15% around that area for 182 days, and this has remained quite stable. Now we look at bonds. So if the government is spending, increasing tax, and has agitation from the general public about the tax, so some of them are being dropped and some of them are being repealed, it means that definitely bond prices must be going down. Once bond prices go down, banks buy because it's cheap and the yields go up. So bond prices can go up, down, or remain flat. So as bond prices go down, the bond yields, the inverse relationship between bond prices and yields, push yields up. Okay, so let's see what we have come up with. The government spending going up, taxes going up, cash reserve remaining flat, open market remaining flat, bonds yields going up. So the government is supporting its spending through the issuance of bonds. Now, this half is by the government and it's by a lot of political pressure. This part should be insulated from political pressure and should be inflation targeting. Okay, so we'll look at that. However, before we do that, let's see what this does to our yield curve. If the short end, which is the open market operations, are being kept flat and bond yields are going up, it forces our yield curve to look like this, where our short end hovers around 15 and our long end 20. The central bank, through the Ministry of Finance, issued our longest dated bond, which is 20-year, at about 20.2%. Okay, so now we have a sense of what Ghana is at the moment: fiscal policy and monetary policy. So in conclusion, what we've been able to do is to use logical thinking to arrive at what fiscal policy is doing, what monetary policy is doing, and we've come to notice that bonds would have a lot of activities in here, and so this informs where we pump in money or interest. So the bond desk in the Treasury Department is going to be very busy. Now, we have a position where we are now. If we wanted to tell what will happen in the future, what could happen is government spending could be too much, thereby pumping too much money in the economy and causing inflation to go up. Remember that inflation marries these two. When inflation goes up, everybody agitates and the government gets pressure, and monetary policy will have to respond by mopping up liquidity. So once we notice that inflation is going up, we will have to keep an eye on these two, cash reserve requirements and open market operations, because the central bank will use these tools, will now activate these tools to mop up liquidity from the market. So we know by logical thinking what we are, and then we also can tell the future by our logical thinking process.